Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. We meet again today for a new video on Forza Horizon 4, a video where we're going to talk about cars again, and today we're going to talk about the almost secret cars of the game. Cars that you may know but that, normally, you won't be able to get. These are usually special or glitched versions of existing in-game models. And these are cars that you cannot buy or sell at auction. Cars that you cannot get in Forzaton, nor in Wheelspin, nor in Festival Selection. Unless one day, obviously, Playground Games decided to put them. And these are cars that you cannot buy at the game's basic dealerships either. But yet, these cars exist, and they are drivable through certain means, and by the way, some are even available in gameplay on my channel. And today, in this video, we're simply going to list all these vehicles that you can't normally get. And I'll try to explain a little bit, each time, why these models are special, how they are different from the base models of the game. Playground Games intentionally made them difficult to obtain. And we're going to start with two cars that you've all driven at least once. Just once, by the way. These two cars are special versions of the McLaren Senna. This is the McLaren Senna Autumn Edition and the Summer Edition. So Autumn Edition for Autumn Edition and Summer Edition for Summer Edition. These cars are based on the McLaren Senna with performance enhancements. So these are quite light modifications. One allows for simply better grip than the base McLaren Senna, and another allows for more acceleration. These cars are from the introduction of Forza Horizon 4, where you have a long race to complete when you first arrive in the game. The beginner races introduce you to the map and the Forza Horizon vibe, while offering the opportunity to drive the McLaren Senna. And they also introduce you to the change of season, and simply at the moment when you are going to change season. When you switch to autumn or summer, you will have the corresponding edition. Normally, this is the only time you can drive these cars. Previously, these cars were available for purchase in the auction room because Playground Games hadn't locked them at the time. In fact, the auction room. That is to say that any existing model in the game could be sold in the auction room, and therefore could be purchased. Some people had successfully spawned them. Users exploited cheat engine or modified game saves to acquire vehicles, which they then sold in the auction room. This was fixed with an update a few months ago. Now, they can no longer be found in the auction room. Moreover, people who had obtained it normally must have had it removed from their garage. If you're interested in seeing their appearance and performance differences, I encourage you to take a look. On my channel, by typing Summer Edition or Autumn Edition, you will find the video in question. In this video, I precisely show the performance differences between the various versions of the McLaren Senna. We continue with the Null Car, a somewhat special car there too, since in fact, it's a car that simply comes from a game bug. So, a bug that was very well known during the game's introduction there too. In fact, the Null Car, it's a car that is completely black. Completely black. That is to say, there is just the silhouette and the rest of the car is black. The entire model, not just the paint, is black. The car's silhouette resembles that of the Ford Taurus. So, there you have it. Relatively recent. I don't know if it's really the latest, but in any case, it's really, there you have it, a modern Ford sedan. In fact, it is still theoretically possible to hold this car. Because in fact, when you load a car and the game bugs, when you change cars, or when you save it after making an improvement, such incidents can occur for various reasons. The game can't load the data in time to save your car or load an opponent's car during a race. So, when a car glitches in the game, instead of causing the game to glitch or returning to the menu, the glitched car is affected in a specific way. Well, it replaces it with the Null Car, except that normally at the next load or the next time you launch the game. Well, the Null Car will be replaced by the model that was supposed to replace it in the first place. Imagine, for example, that you have the Bentley Continental that glitches during a save. Well, as long as you are on that session, the game will lend you the Null Car, which will therefore have the performance, sound, and physics of your glitched car. So in this case, specifically, the Bentley Continental. And the next time you go back to your garage or start a race, well, the game will automatically put you back in the Bentley Continental, because it will have managed to load it. However, some clever individuals have managed to locate the code associated with this car's identifier using the same technique, with something like cheat engine. And they managed to replace some cars with this Null Car, and they managed afterwards to resell it in the auction room and to save it for themselves. This car may not have much appeal after the fact, as it depends on the performance and details of the model. It's meant to replace when you encounter a glitch. But there you have it, for the thrill and fun of saying you have all the cars in the game. Well, know that you will need the Null Car, except that, well, obviously, as for the Senna Autumn Edition and Summer Edition. Well, now you can no longer get it in the auction room. And on top of that, The players who had it before, well, this car was simply removed from their garage. There are then two other models which are also special versions of vehicles already present in the game. It's the Austin Taxi HS and the Chevrolet Bel Air HS. HS doesn't mean out of service, it means Horizon Story. In fact, these are cars with special improvements, special performance kits that will be offered to you for driving. In the Lariser story, the Bel Air is mentioned. The Taxi is obviously mentioned during the Taxi story. These cars can't be obtained normally in the game, so I can't provide further information. I unlocked the Taxi in my garage at the end of the Taxi story. In fact, it's not the same thing. You have the normal Taxi, the broken Taxi. It's really a different thing than usual. Now, you're not supposed to have it in your garage at all, since that too has been removed with recent updates. But it's not the same thing as the basic Austin Taxi. In fact, on the Bel Air HS and on the Austin HS Taxi, you will be able to get additional swaps and additional upgrades. The Taxi swap is more obvious. For the Bel Air, the only additional swap is the 7-liter racing engine, allowing it to reach around 1,400 horsepower, which is a lot for a Bel Air. But let's say it's not insane either. There are plenty of cars that had this swap already before this Bel Air HSE. However, the Taxi HS has additional improvements. All-terrain tires with a yellow stripe provide exceptional grip in any terrain. They are very large in size. It is also available on it. The swap, which was not originally present in the game, the V8 swap, which actually comes from the Ford Drift that were added to the game in the season. 12 or 13, I believe, which is the swap that simply allows to go up to 1,900 horses. This swap was already present in the game before the addition of the Mustang RTRs, while they are normally the ones that have the base engine intended for this swap. So, with a broken Taxi as well, it was possible to have a Taxi that made 1,900 horsepower and had better straight-line acceleration than a McLaren F1 Grand Tourer. Essentially, any drag box was vulnerable to this bug at the time. However, as mentioned earlier, the HS have since been patched. You can no longer get them, no longer sell them in the auction room. And of course, they have been removed from everyone's garage. We continue with something a little less fun. You'll understand why. We're going to talk about the McLaren P1 Owen edition, which is also a special version, planned. So based on the McLaren P1, it's a car that is only available to one person in the world. It's a child named Owen who visited the Playground Game Studios, and it's a child who suffers from a disease or a disability. He's a fan of Forza Horizon, which is why he was invited to visit Playground Studio. Otherwise, the invitation wouldn't have made sense. Let's congratulate him for playing Forza Horizon 4 despite his illness. Thank him for playing, and simply make him happy. The game developers made him a special version, which can be equipped with special customization in terms of aesthetics. So, here too, I made a video about this car, so you're going to ask me, how did you manage to get this car if no one else can have it? In fact, know that since the beginning of the video, as I've said each time, all the game models can be obtained through glitches, by certain people who know how to do it. I don't know how to unlock this car myself, but some of my subscribers who have done it offered to lend me their account so I could show it to you in a video. For more details on the McLaren P1 ON's customization and performance, I invite you to watch that video. There is a way to transform it into a P1 Grand Tourer despite the P1 Grand Tourer not being present in the base game. And in addition to that, this car has slightly higher performance than the normal P1. In any case, normally now, this car is no longer obtainable. And since it's a somewhat particular reason for the rarity of this car, and of course, it is no longer sellable in the auction room, that is to say, even if Owen himself wanted to sell it in the auction room, he could not. But above all, as I mentioned earlier, it has been glitched and obtained illegitimately by some players. The glitched vehicle was removed from the offending players' garages. Additionally, those players who unlocked it by exploiting the glitch were banned for 30 days. But it is still one of the unique cars that exist in the game that you can come across if you are lucky. You have a 1 in 10 million chance of running into Owen, as there are about 10 million players on Forza Horizon 4, and you have even less chance of running into him while he's driving this car. But it exists. And by the way, if you want to see it in action, there's a very simple method which actually involves creating a custom test. When you go to the customizable vehicles themes and select the McLaren brand, you'll notice that the racing themes are available. All cars spawn only in the menu, so driving them is not possible. If you put the P1 and P1ON, the bots will take the P1ON. You can see what it looks like. The car features unique stickers on the windshield, a customization option not available on any other vehicle in the game. And to finish, we're going to talk about a car in pre-order version. So the pre-order S, if you don't know, it's the initial of pre-order. These are special cars, similar to Forza editions, with modified performance and occasionally modified bodies. initially reserved as a reward for those who pre-ordered the game before its release. And in fact, depending on where you had ordered the game, depending on the platform where you had bought it. Well, Playground Games offered you a model among these POs, so the different models. There's the McLaren 720S, there's the Porsche GT3 RS, there's the Chevrolet Camaro ZL1, there's the Nissan GTR, the Mercedes AMG GTR. All are relatively rare, but they are farmable. So, either obtainable in the auction room, precisely secondhand, which I have done several times, or obtainable because the developers have offered some. The Camaro pre-order, for example, it was given during the Christmas event 2019, where, for 4 hours on Saturday morning, you could get it at a discount or by shopping around. I say it was given because it was really cheap, as the crate is normally extremely rare. The Mercedes and Nissan GTR pre-order, which are typically very rare and not available in the auction room, were obtained by everyone, after a mistake by the developers. So it's still a long story, but basically, they had done a live mixer to showcase Forza Horizon 4's new features and encourage people to visit their mixer channel. To kickstart the Microsoft String platform a bit, which is struggling a bit to get people, they had tried to do a little special reward by offering it to people who came on the live mixer. The GTRPO from Nissan and Mercedes. Except that in the end, they did whatever they wanted. That is to say, there were people who were not present on the live mixer. Who received these cars? Conversely, live mixer attendees did not get them. So, after a few days, he ends up getting a little bit of trash talk on social media. Well, Playground Games simply decided to give these two cars to all Forza Horizon 4 players. That's why if you have the game, one day, you received a message with the GTR not understanding why you got them for free. It's precisely because of that. All players who owned the game at a specific time received the items. It's unclear if new buyers get them. Regardless, many players have these items, and they are much less rare. However, there is one that is even rarer. It's the Ford Focus pre-order, which is also completely untraceable. I don't know if one day it will be given by the game developers. It is not purchasable in the auction room. It is not sellable in the auction room. The reason, I believe, is that it was given as a pre-order reward to those who had pre-ordered the game at Toys R Us. Except that Toys R Us went belly up and closed. In fact, this Focus pre-order was simply deleted. Those who got it earlier could keep it, but now it's unobtainable. It's uncertain if it will ever return. I believe we've covered all the points. Vehicles that are nearly unobtainable. If you have these vehicles in your garage, it's likely because you purchased them. A glitcher. Either you are a glitcher yourself, or basically, you had a bug. But there you have it. These are really cars that have their little extra detail, their little extra performance often, and their little custom. These are pretty stylish cars. It's great that we still have some especially rare cars in the game. I hope you found this video interesting. If so, please like and comment. You can obviously subscribe to my YouTube channel. Find me on Twitch via the link in the description and at the bottom of the comment to watch me live. If you wish, obviously, you can also find me on Facebook and Twitter to stay updated on my news and the channel's schedule. In terms of videos, in terms of live. And then, obviously, if you want to support me, you can go through my YouTube link to earn advertising. You can obviously use my instant gaming link that you will find in the description and at the bottom of the comments of this video. Buy cheap games linked below my YouTube channel. Finally, consider becoming a member by clicking Join under this video. Starting from 99 cents per month, I'll see you very soon. Hello everyone. Ciao.